So welcome everybody. My name is Benson Juarez and I'm with Privy Real Estate and Software Platform. And I'm being joined tonight by my good friend, Sean Young from Atlanta. And we're gonna be talking all kinds of different strategies. We're gonna talk a little bit about a recent kind of talk that Sean and I had about what he's been working on and his kind of paradigm about real estate investing and how that's kind of guided him along the way in how he's doing his business. And a bell went off recently, right, Sean?
Indeed.
And we were able to kind of, see eye to eye on some things. And this is how it goes sometimes. Sometimes it's like you learn a certain way of doing real estate or business or anything in your life, and you just don't see the other angles. And I'm guilty of that in a lot of things I do. And Sean and I were talking about Privy and real estate recently. So Sean, man, thank you so much for being here and joining us. And
Absolutely.
I
My
had a
pleasure.
lot of good feedback from that conversation we had the other day, and I hope everybody here was able to see it. I sent it out and posted it a couple times. But uh, what was that about? It was like so organic, man, and it was like,
Indeed.
wow, this is awesome.
Yeah, that's how it happens, man. When it's real, it's real. When you don't have to think about it or make it up, that's just how it flows. And that day we were actually discussing some different strategies for marketing, different things. And I had to go back into the fact that Privy, like I say, I had this epiphany, like it just like a light went off. The light was there, but it just was dim. And the more information that I got into other areas and just started to think about what I've already done, it like the light just became so bright and clear. It's crazy. Like, so I've been super excited. My team has jumped all over it. I mean, it's amazing, guys. It's amazing. So you're in for a treat tonight.
So tell me, so you said you came from like the wholesale background and
Mhm.
you kind of had a way of doing business. So what did that look like?
All right, guys. Wholesaling is the foundation of my business. The very first deal that I ever did was a sandwich lease option. It's a pretty complex, it's a pretty complex type of transaction, but it's not difficult, but it's a little more complex than wholesaling. I would say wholesaling has the easiest or the lowest barrier of entry coming into the space of quote unquote investing, because some folks will say that as a wholesaler, you're not actually an investor, but you are the one providing deals to the investors. So you can think about it however you want to think about it. But the way that I saw it in my realization was that, man, I'm passing up on opportunities myself because I just couldn't, I didn't know how to source deals that were on market that made any sense to me at all. If there was then if a realtor was involved at all, I was just like, I don't want anything to do with it. Just let me know when that agreement expires with your realtor, and then we can try to do some business, because that was my wholesale mind. And I'm not telling anyone out there that that's wrong. You can you could sustain a great living doing that, and you can make a great deal of money. But when you use other strategies, it opens up your investing power, your longs, your staying power, should I say. When you're doing wholesaling, it's very transactional. And there's nothing wrong with that. Even fixed and flipping is pretty transactional. But when you have the power and tools in place to say, hey, I could hold this myself because it makes so much sense. Go get a private loan and I'll be the one to do whatever it is that I'm going to do instead of passing it on to somebody. That's the power of having tools such as Privy. And that's, like, I'm telling you guys that I'm telling you, I've ran my business for years, for about 5-6 years now. And I was very tunnel visioned on how I thought things could work and the tools that I thought that I needed. And Benson has been a good friend of mine for, over a year now. We're in masterminds together. We talk quite often, and he's been so patient with me. I mean, we've done other demos as well on the software. And I always knew that it was a great tool, but I didn't know how I could make the pivot or the switch in my business without making that big of a switch. It's just a mindset change of understanding how to look at deals. So I know Benson is a much better expert at describing how you can do that with the tool. But I'm telling you, I'm to the point now where I can almost describe it as well, because I literally did that with my team yesterday. We got on our training, on our weekly calls, and I went through it with the whole team, and everyone was like blown away. They're like, oh my God, it's like, or since it's Halloween time, you guys can get this analogy. It's like bobbing for apples, right? It's like just picking apples out of a barrel. It's literally that it's like that, guys.
So when that epiphany happened for you, I mean, it doesn't mean you're going to abandon wholesale, right? Like you're still going
Not
to
at all.
wholesale,
Not at
right?
all.
And you're going to still do some off-market things and approach it the way you've always done it. But now
Mhm.
you're putting another tool in your toolbox.
That's all.
And this is where I think a lot of people get sort of, one-sided in their businesses. They have one bucket, right? And if that deal doesn't fit that bucket, then they pass up on it. And that's unfortunate because it's so expensive to generate leads. Whether you're spending money or you're driving around or you're cold calling, like expensive means money and time, right?
Mhm.
And stress and effort and all these things. Like there's a lot of you invest in that. And so to pass up on opportunities out there just because of a narrow kind of mindset and where a deal would fit, you're probably passing up on the majority of the opportunities that are out there.
The majority, guaranteed, guys. The majority, the bigger money is in having, like Benson said, other tools in your tool belt to get the job done.
Right. And then you mentioned, which I thought was cool, is in the video, was do I have three hammers in my tool belt? Right. Which I thought it was a cool analogy, like which means you've got the same tool, to do the exact same thing, right? So you
Mhm.
can take some tools off your tool belt, and
Mhm.
whether that's an analogy for for the technology we're going to show tonight or something else. I think it makes sense because if you're spending money and time on three tools, well, you know, you're only getting 33% of that investment back, right? Instead of 100%.
Indeed.
So I
And the
think it,
likelihood of you actually using all three tools consistently and with efficiency is much lower as well. So having one good solid tool, guys, I'm telling you, you want to simplify your business so that you can figure out ways to systematize it as quickly as possible. And having one tool helps you do that for sure.
so now that you've had that epiphany, like what is it going to change for you? Like how do you see your business going now? Instead of being transactional, right?
Mhm.
Only transactional, right? You'll still have transactional elements of your business. What do you see changing and how do you see that growing for you?
Well, one quick pivot that I've made is we're going to start getting a lot of private funding, a lot of private lending, so we can take down these deals, because guys, there's a saying out there, OPM, other people's money. Even if you have the money, why would you want to spend your money when you could spend other people's money? Everyone makes money and everyone's happy. That's how this country works. So get that figured out also quickly as possible, guys, in your investing career. Understand that other people's money there's nothing wrong with that at all. So what I started to do is get some funding in place, get some private lending in place, which is my funding. I already have other lenders, but that's my strategy now, so that I can take these deals instead of me passing them on to folks who are going to fix and flip them. I mean, guys, let me explain something to you. When you have a tool that can give you dozens of properties, I mean, dozens of properties in a particular market. I mean, dozens upon dozens upon dozens. I'm being very, very minimum here, but I'm telling you guys, it's incredible. When you have so many properties and you're getting data such as, okay, let me click on this property that's on the MLS that's listed for 135,000. Now, you in your normal brain or normal mind, in my mind, a year ago, I would have said the same thing. I said, that doesn't work for my wholesale model. What is the wholesale model? It's that formula that we all use. The ARV, times 70% minus repairs, minus your fee, hence your MAYO, your maximum allowable offer. However, when you're approaching it with a different mindset, and you can see, hey, if I were to hold this property, or even partner with someone, I can show them data, statistics. I mean, not statistics, but actual data right now, real-time data of properties in the area that have sold comparable. And guys, I'm telling you, the things that we're seeing, that my team has seen when we went through this yesterday, as a team, is it's phenomenal. We're seeing triple digit flips, guys, triple digits, all all the way down. So these aren't just flips where people are making 20 or 30,000. These folks are making, 80, 100, 120, 150. Yes, they put repairs in there. Of course, you can equate for the repairs. But I'm telling you guys, with this tool, it minimizes the energy and the effort that you have to put into finding deals. And I'm telling you guys, the hardest thing is finding good deals. If you don't believe me, you all right now, give me your good deals right now. They're hard to find, right?
They are.
They're not hard to find if you've got the tools.
So we're going to jump in here a bit too. And I just want to emphasize too, and you said it before, is like, we're not trying to convince anybody to stop wholesaling or doing things the whole time. But those deals that you talked about that were triple digit, that somebody flipped, any one of those could have been a wholesale deal, right? If they had just locked it up, they could have just wholesaled it. But if you get out of your mind that like, oh, there are deals on the MLS, then you can start to think, okay, well, I can either wholesale it or I can keep it for myself, right? And so now you got those two buckets. But one of the things that, is important too is, you guys, there are off-market deals, right, that could fit into both these buckets too. So just because of the source doesn't mean you have to eliminate them either way. I think part of where I think that we were able to connect, Sean, over time was kind of that reverse REI strategy, like leading us to the hot areas, where people are doing deals, and then basically having the data to be able to prove the numbers. And without that reverse REI strategy, you end up, looking for deals and trying to make numbers work in areas where you're going to have a really hard time making the margins work, because there's not enough comparables and there's not enough buyers and all the stuff you need to pull together a wholesale transaction, right?
Exactly.
So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to teach about, some different strategies you can implement in your business, whether or not you use Privy. Privy makes it, a lot easier to use, and that's the name of our technology platform. But part of what you'll see today is like, there's other ways to do it. And there's some ways that you can actually, implement some of this into your business that will help you move your business forward, whether you're not use a tool like Privy. But some of the stuff we were trying to solve was, first off, deal flow, right? Everybody needs more deals. They're spending tons of money on marketing and working with agents and time and all this stuff. And part of that is that those strategies aren't being effective because they're marketing or looking for deals in the wrong places. So you end up spending a bunch of money on ineffective, expensive, marketing campaigns, and you're not getting the results that you want. So you're writing offers on multiple properties, right? And you're not winning bids. You're getting beat out, or you realize like, oh man, I could have offered a little bit more, but I just didn't feel comfortable with my numbers, so I put a big buffer in there just in case I got my numbers wrong, right? So this is a numbers business, right? But if you can't basically, if you work off of a formula that is universal across the whole US, you're going to end up passing up on deals you can make a lot of money on. So when you use this reverse RE strategy, you can find the data that will help you understand like what a deal is in Atlanta, Georgia, compared to what a deal is in Denver, Colorado, compared to San Francisco, compared to Chicago. Every one of those areas, a different offer will work that won't work in another area. But how would you know that unless you had the data at your hands, right? So how about those if you are wholesaling, where you locked a deal up and you felt good about the numbers and you marketed it and nobody wanted it? None of the buyers were willing to give you an assignment fee, or they were beating you up on your values, or they're beating you up on your assignment fee because they were just trying to get more of a margin for themselves, right? How many times has that happened to you? Or you got this list of buyers who you send this out to, and it's like all these people told you they wanted to buy deals from you and no one responds. You're not getting emails or callbacks. Like, I mean, we've all been there, Sean. I mean, how many times have you found deals where you're sending them out and it's like, how come nobody wants this?
It happens, guys. It happens because you're gonna get deals that come through your pipeline or that come across your plate that you say, hey, let's give it a shot because of what I think I have. But again, when you guys, what Benson is definitely talking about is you're not having to, if you are targeting areas that have high deal activity, it's going to give you that data that you need for the comparables to make it make sense for your buyers. And there should be no reason why you're holding on to deals that long.
You're exactly right. Like if you have trouble getting rid of something, there's something wrong. Like if you can't get rid of it in a couple of days, yeah, there's some due diligence that people need to do. But if you don't have interest in that within a matter of hours, honestly, there's something wrong with it, right? I mean, is that true, Sean?
100%. I found that to be true. 100%. When we have smoking deals, guys, when we send it out to our buyers, like Benson said, it's when it's within hours you got people responding because they don't want to miss out on opportunities that make sense. And when you got data, that's the data is what they're going to use, just like you're going to use it. So don't think that you can just say, oh, this deal makes sense because I think it makes sense. You got to have some data to back that up.
Right. And because it's so hard to get deal flow, and because we're spending so much time and effort on these, like when something comes across your desk, wholesalers, they force deals to be deals that shouldn't. They're like, man, I got a lead. I finally got a lead. I need to make this work. I'm gonna do whatever I can to make this one work. Right. So you go through and you really just beat you chase the seller all around, you call them 20 times a day, and then you finally get under contract at a price that maybe you don't like, and you're like, shoot, I'll just get under contract for this. Like I'm not gonna get my price, but we're close. Right. So you get under contract and then you send it out to your list and you're not getting any response. And it's like, man, so it's like you're putting that square peg into the round hole when maybe you shouldn't even have wasted your time on it in the first place. So part of the ways you can solve this is by using this reverse REI strategy. So what it basically does is you begin with the end in mind. So Stephen Covey wrote that book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And the second habit is begin with the end in mind. It's basically thinking, 20 steps down the road and then reverse engineering the process so you can have a more strategic approach to that problem you're trying to solve. And that's what we're able to do with you with our technology, is making sure that you are going to the right areas. So you have the buyers, so you have the data, so you have the activity to make the numbers work and get these deals done. So you're targeting these hot areas, and it changes everything. Once you have that data in front of you, it really does help you understand what's happening in that local market. And this, Sean, one of your expertise is wholesale, virtual wholesale, right? And it's hard to understand that local market, right? If you don't have, boots on the ground and if you've never been there. But with the data and the availability of being able to basically do business anywhere now, you can literally do business anywhere.
From anywhere. You have a laptop, phone, you can do business from anywhere.
Right.
Internet connection. You need internet connection.
Internet too, that helps.
Indeed, that helps.
I mean, my world crushes down all around me when I don't have internet. It's like, feels like everything's just stopping.
Indeed.
So, there's on market, there's off market leads. Don't ignore one or the other. If you like on market, don't ignore off market. If you like off market, don't ignore on market. It's almost 50-50. But in most areas, you guys, the majority of deals do come from the MLS. So if you're ignoring that as a source of deal flow, you are basically eliminating 50% of the opportunities right off the bat. And there's a lot of benefits to doing on-market deals. Like, the seller's motivated, exactly what price they want for it. You don't have to skip trace or cold call or knock on anybody's door. And honestly, I don't think that the majority of us got into this business to be marketers or to be salespeople. And if you focus exclusively on off-market, that's what you are. You're a marketer. You're not even a wholesaler until you basically get a property under contract and you can assign it. The wholesale process doesn't even start until you've got a property that you can transfer. Before that, it's all marketing. So ask yourself, do you want to be a professional salesperson? Do you want to be a marketer? Do you want to learn how to do Facebook ads, right? Or do you just want to do real estate, right? And now there's a balance there to it, right? You need to do some of it, but really ask yourself, am I good on the phone? Am I a good marketer? Am I going to be able to figure out this marketing game better than everybody else that's been doing it for 20 years? Think about what you're good at. So it's all about optimization of time. So let me jump in here. I'm going to show you guys how this works. And feel free to put your questions in the chat and we'll make sure to address those at some point. Sean, you may be able to knock out some of those questions as we're talking,
Okay.
or some of them we might want to hold off till the end. But can you see my screen, Sean?
Yep, I can see you perfect.
Awesome. So this is Privy. We're nationwide now. We've got off-market leads, on-market leads. We've got distressed seller opportunities like foreclosures, absentee owners, vacancies, landlords. We've also got MLS data, which none of the other platforms out there have. So we're getting direct data feeds from MLS in many different markets. So anything that's blue or red is basically going to be MLS. And then we're going to basically have all of the major cities and second and third tier cities with real-time MLS too. So it's basically the same data as agents and appraisers use, right? So that really changes the game, because in a business where numbers matter, you really can't rely on what you find on Zillow or some random website. If you're just playing around and you're kicking tires, that's okay. But if you're trying to really make this into a business, you cannot make it in this business if you're using just the internet to determine value and run your analysis. It's not how a professional business, it's not how the pros are doing it, right? So if you want to really scale up, you need to think about some ways of making sure this is a business for you, not a hobby.
Indeed.
So what I'm going to look for first is that investor activity. So we were talking about, you want to be where your comps are at. You want to be where your buyers are at. You don't want to be looking for deals in South Dakota, right? Because there's no one doing deals up there, right? So this is basically a snapshot of where investor activity is in the last 12 months. So we're able to show you where the hot areas are at. The larger the circle, the higher the number, the more activity there is. So there's different areas that really pop out. I'm in Denver, 264, I don't know. I mean, by itself, it's hard to tell. Is that good? Is that bad? You really don't know. Do you compare it to another market? Now, on the West Coast, there's not as many hot areas as you do see in the Midwest and also on the East Coast. So that's why typically the data leads us there. But when you see some of these markets, you look at like St. Louis, like 518. Chicago's got 425. Cleveland area, 445. Philadelphia is like popping 300 and over 1,300 deals, right? Like crazy numbers. And then Indianapolis, Sean's down in Atlanta, and there's a good amount of deals down in the Atlanta market, 400 middle, to the middle. So what's important about this, you guys, is again, this is where the activity is. So in a business where the majority of everything you're doing when your calculations and determining if a deal is a deal is after repair value. And you literally cannot determine after repair value if there's no repaired properties that's part of your comp set. So it makes sense to do that. And you're probably thinking, well, duh, of course. But I guarantee you're not basing the strategy on how you approach this business off of that. It's usually a secondary thought. So reverse engineer the process, go where the data is, and then look for deals there. It makes it so much easier. It's really easy to determine the after repair value of a property if the house right next door was fix and flipped, right? That's the strategy here. This is the optimal outcome. So Sean, when you're looking at like pulling comps in your business and you're looking for deals, like, I mean, ARV is king, right? Like, what's the difference in your mind between being in an area like West Virginia and being in an area like Philadelphia where there's lots of activity? Like, what does that change for you?
It changes everything. West Virginia, you're going to be guessing. You're going to have a hard time if you get a property on. Yeah, you'll probably get some properties under contract, but you'll have a tough time getting them sold, man, because there's not anything going on out there. There's nothing going on in that area that's going to substantiate, that's going to constitute you getting anything for that property. There's no comps. No one knows. It's like they don't want to be the first comp in the area. So you've got to think about that, guys. So what Benson is saying, it's huge and it's highly important. If you live in an area and like Los Angeles, for instance, and you think that it's a good area, or you don't have to guess. You can use this tool to let you know. if you're in West Virginia and you think, man, it's great out here, you can use the tool to let you know that, man, it might not be as great as you think. It might be a better market for something else, but not for what you're trying to do with housing.
Absolutely. And it's sometimes for a lot of people, it's like, oh no, like my market sucks. What am I going to do? So for a lot of people, it's kind of like, well, I can't do the business now if I'm in a bad market. And that could be true if you're only so focused on the traditional ways of doing things. But if you're in a crappy market, we'll just choose another one, right? And you can do virtual. You don't have to be in the markets that you think you need to be in, but let the data lead you. So I just zoomed into the Philadelphia market and I went in and I found the highest aggregation of deals that were done in the last 12 months. And that's the area right here. 230 fix and flips have happened in this area where they purchased it, fixed it up, and sold it. And the value went up at least 25%, right? We could go up, we could go down. We're looking for representative activity, right? So this is a lot, right? And this is very insightful too, because you can see, oh my God, people are doing deals in my market, in my target market. Before a tool like this, it was all hearsay. You didn't know if anybody at the local REIA was doing deals. Maybe they said they were.
Yeah, they might have
but
said it.
yeah. And and there's the fix and flip shows out there that I love on, they're fun and they're kind of entertaining, but those numbers aren't real. And it's just one example of what a fix and flip might look like. And again, I say fix and flip, but this applies to anything that could be, wholesale, fix and flip, BRRRR. And by the way, if you're doing, rentals, which, Sean was talking about, potentially doing fix and flips and some long-term stuff, rentals perform way better in an area like this than they do in an area where there's no activity, because doing fix and flips in a particular neighborhood can change the economic trajectory of that neighborhood for decades, because it's a snowball effect. Once a property gets done, then another one gets done, then another one gets done. And now suddenly all rising tides raise all ships, right? So now everything in the neighborhood is doing well. Next thing you know, that the city is investing in repaving the roads. They're putting up new
new
light
amenities,
posts,
new stores.
Yeah,
coming into the area. All that type of stuff comes in.
Yeah, and the big signal that you're in the right area is if there's a Starbucks, right? As soon as a Starbucks pops up, you're like, okay, we've made it. This neighborhood is the place to be. So those are the kinds of things that happen in these high investor activity areas. So let's look at a property here real quick, because one of the things that might scare you about doing stuff remotely is like, well, I don't understand the market. I don't know what a deal looks like. But this report right here, I just clicked one of those property cards and I opened up this house that just closed recently on 20th Street. And we can look at all the photos. We can see what kind of construction they did, what kind of materials they used. You can understand, what level of construction that the neighborhood will support. You don't just want to go in there and do what you saw on the fix and flip show over the weekend. You need to build to the level of that neighborhood.
Exactly. You don't want to overdo it or underdo it.
Right. And if you're wholesaling, this is great ammo for marketing, right, Sean? So like if you were to send these before and after pictures to a buyer, like how does that change things for them?
Man, it's killer, because now they get an idea exactly on what they're going to do. If they're going to do that flipping, I mean, you're giving it to them. Look, this is exactly what folks are doing in this community. These are the numbers. This is the spread they made on this property. Like down here, this property looks like the spread was 127,000. Guys, they bought it for 88,000. They sold it for 215,000. $127,000 spread. And this is the square footage on this property looks like around 1,000, just over 1,000 square feet.
1,300.
Yep.
Oh, that's a lot. Yeah, 1,056.
Yep. So now let me ask you guys, even if they bought this property at 88,000 and put in 60,000 on repairs, which would be a lot of repairs for 1,000 square feet, they've still made a killing.
They did.
So my point that I'm trying to help you guys understand, which is, man, you don't walk away from these deals that do not fit that formula that you are gonna see over and over again out there. That ARV times 70% or 75% or 60, whatever it is, you gotta not think from that perspective, because this is what matters. What are buyers actually paying? Not what is some theory or formula that we blanketly put out there. What are they buying deals for? And it shows it right here.
Yeah, exactly. And right here, like, I mean, the formula, right? 40%. This one was a 40% of ARV, Sean. Like in the wholesale world, would that be a deal for you?
All day long, all day long. But how would you have known, right?
Yeah, you wouldn't know. And by the way,
Mhm.
this one was on market too. They picked this up in December of last year, and right from the MLS, right? So again, this is an example of a house that just closed a couple days ago that could have been a wholesale deal for you that was on the MLS that you didn't have to cold call or skip trace or be a marketer for it. They're right there. They're right there for the
Right
taking, right?
there.
If you can just go in there and grab that apple with your teeth and pull it out, this is one that we all missed on, right? But if you had been tracking this area and you'd have been, looking to see where these deals are being done, this might have been something that would have been sent to you automatically, because that's part of the benefit of our platform is the automation. Once the
Absolutely.
algorithms are set up for you and you save those searches, you just check your email inbox, right? And for most of us who are busy with life and our 9 to 5 jobs and our family responsibilities and going to baseball and church and the bar or wherever you spend your time, right? It's tough to get this done, right? So the automation is there. Now the next cool thing is, okay, well, cool. Well, there's people are doing deals here. Um,
Mhm.
who's doing them, right? So Sean, this was B&B Realty Group, right? So this is a buyer. This is the fix and flipper that just did this deal.
Mhm.
Would they be an interesting target for a wholesaler?
Guys, what do you guys think out there? Let's get some thumbs up. Let's get a number one in the chat box if you think that that information is valuable as for a wholesaler, knowing who is the buyer for this property as Benson is pulling this up. There we go. There we go. We got some smart folks here on this call, on this Zoom here, guys. You guys are absolutely right. That information is powerful because that's the buyer. Don't you think it'd be pretty easy to go to a B&B Realty Group and say, hey, B&B Realty, I've got a deal right down the street from this property that you just sold here on our street. You looking for something else like that? There you
Yeah,
go, guys.
they know what they want, right? So it makes it easier. There's a question here, Sean, for you. Like, how would you price your commission on this, like an assignment fee? Like, do you have a rule of thumb, or how do you determine what kind of assignment fee you're going to ask a buyer for?
Guys, my rule of thumb is that we always shoot for 10,000 on our assignment fees. We that's our goal is 10,000, and we're averaging right now around 8,300. So different markets will have different produce and will yield you different amounts. But guys, you want to shoot for at least 10K wholesale fee per deal.
So if you added 10K onto that one, you're
Mhm.
still at 45% of ARV,
Guys,
which
all
a
day
buyer would
long,
go for, right? Like
all day long. You could have added 20K on it,
you
and the
could
buyer
have.
would have still been happy.
Absolutely. So it's on a case by case, and it's whatever you can
It is.
negotiate too,
It
right?
is.
And I'd love to get your input on this, Sean, is because
Mhm.
a lot of wholesalers, and I think this is just kind of universal, but I had this kind of
Mhm.
epiphany myself, and I want to get your input on it. Like
Mhm.
assignment fees typically are associated with just the property itself, right? Like, okay, if I can get
Mhm.
this at a good discount, I want to get 10 grand. The buyer is thinking, okay, I'm willing to pay that 10 grand because I'm going to make margins. But how much is a buyer looking at you as a service provider, as a wholesaler? Like if you're just a wholesaler who just sends them a property with, estimated ARV, no estimation of construction, no actual comps, no before and after pictures, like how does that compare to like what you could do with Privy? And would they be more willing to give you your assignment fee that you want compared to the alternative?
Guys, you're bringing value when you're able to bring that type of data. You're not just, again, someone who's playing with this. They know that you're taking this serious. You're doing your part. You're providing a service. You're providing your part. Wholesalers are very important in the overall scheme of the industry, and of real estate investing. Wholesalers are key. the art of wholesaling is always going to be foundational to my business. So guys, these things that we're talking about, I hope that you're taking great notes and that you are ready to go and implement these things as quickly as possible as well.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I wasn't sure. I was just kind of an idea I thought of,
Mm-hmm.
but it's true. Like you're providing a service, right? And
Mm-hmm.
part of that fee that you're going to get back is about how well you do your job, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so what we see here, you guys, is this is the area you're going to go target, right? So this is when you do your mailing campaigns. If you lived in this area, this is where you would drive for dollars. This is where you would put your bandit signs. If you have an agent, this is where you would have them look, right? Because if you find a deal, then it's really easy to prove value because you got all this data here, right? To prove value. And you've got all these buyers here, right? So let's say you wanted to build a buyer's list. Well, every one of these properties has a buyer attached to it, right? So how would you do that? Well, with Privy, you have the ability to basically take this data and put it into a list and export it. And you can put that into your CRM, or you can put it in and do a mailing campaign or skip trace it. All you do is you go up here to the right and you click list, and it puts it into this list format. So these are all the properties. Now I can just pick them on a one-off, or I can just select all. And then I could put them into a list so I can keep track of these properties as they evolve. Or I just go ahead and click download. And now Privy will create a CSV file that you can export and you can put into your CRM, or you can put it into your favorite skip tracing company. I really like Lead Sherpa. Batch Leads is another one that's pretty popular out there. But once you get into that CSV format, you can do whatever you want with it. And so that really kind of takes your business to the next level if you are doing those marketing campaigns. So I actually skip traced one yesterday, and I just put it into a Lead Sherpa, and I got phone numbers and email addresses, next to kin, their phone numbers, their email addresses, and then it makes it really simple to kind of take it forward. But one of the things that I want to show you before we get into more is that I mentioned the CRM. Now, this is kind of a little hint of what's to come, and I'm actually going to give you guys the ability to get access to this, is that Privy, we're launching our own CRM. And so now with that list export, you'll be able to input it into a CRM where you can basically track all of your marketing activity. Where is the deal that you just found? Have you called them once? You can set up reminders to call them in a week or 2 weeks. You can send them an email. You can take this and you can actually implement it into a marketing campaign, but it's all in the follow-up, right? 7 to 10 touches is what people say, right? Is that, Sean? Is that about right?
That's average, about 7 to 10 touches. And guys, that's the average. You can have you can go all the way up to 15 touches, but that's about average for sure.
And so we've got a lot of other functionality that we're building into this, but I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to get access to this for free tonight. But we've got pipelines, funnels, emailing campaigns. You can do marketing out of this. Regular CRM, we've got a scheduling app that's built into it. Lots of really cool stuff in here. So this is going to be available. We're eventually going to sell it just as as a product that comes with Privy. But tonight you're going to have an opportunity to get access to this for free. And I say that because moving this business forward, you really need a place to be able to kind of monitor and track all of your transactions and making sure that these leads aren't slipping through the cracks, because
100%.
we all know how valuable they are. Now, let's say that we go back to this area and I'm going to say, okay, well, let's say, for example, we wanted to see if there were any other opportunities here, right? We built a buyer's list. Now we got to find deals for those buyers. Well, I'm going to show you here in a second how we can get on market deals, but let's do off market. So let's go here and switch the filter over, and let's say, show me all of the zombie properties that's in this area. So these are properties that are absentee owners and are vacant, right? Absentee owners, I think it's going to be one of the biggest opportunities for investors in the next year or two because of the moratorium and COVID. A lot of those people have not been getting any sort of rents on a lot of their properties. And I read an article recently that said 1 out of every 4 landlords has listed a property for sale in the last 12 months. These people are wanting to sell their portfolios, whether they're putting them on the market or they're still kind of debating it. That's an opportunity for you guys to get deals, either off market or on market. So let's look for some of those. So I'm going to go ahead and just do a quick search, and let's do a date range here. I don't want to go back too far. So let's just go back to say 2010. Anything that's sold from 2010 to, let's say, 2 years ago. So right before COVID.
Okay.
And then we'll see if there's any opportunities there. And then if there is opportunities there, then we can export them to a list and then do the marketing to find those off-market leads, right? The stuff that Sean built his business on, right? Going after off-market, talking to people who are in trouble, seeing if they want to sell, coming up with a creative solution that can help them get out of a bad situation and where they would be motivated to sell. So here's a bunch of, look at all of these zombie properties, right? There's a lot out there. And all you got to do is just go to the same process, click list, export that into a CSV, and then begin your marketing campaigns. Cold call, maybe get your VA on board. I know a guy who's got a VA service, by the way, who can help you get a VA involved. His name is Sean Young, by the way. We'll give you guys information about that later on. So that's there for you, right? Lots of things: foreclosures, absentee owners, vacancies, all that stuff is kind of like those targets. Now, we were talking about on-market properties earlier. So are there really on-market properties? Well, let's take a look. So I'm going to switch us back to investor activity real quick, where we're going to see.
So Benson, before we move past that last part, I want to make sure that
100%.
Everyone that was watching understood what they were just seeing. All those properties that Benson was just showing, these are properties, like if you see the very top one here, it says sold on 10/25/21. So Benson, are you saying that these are properties that can you explain what the strategy would be for this? I don't want to put the words in your mouth.
Yeah, so I actually just reset that. So before I clicked investor activity, it was showing us zombie properties, which are homes that are vacant and are also an absentee owner, meaning the person who owns it doesn't live in it. They're typically a landlord. So the strategy there would be, okay, I've got people who are potentially in a situation where they don't want to sell, right? Two scenarios where they would increase their likelihood that they would want to sell, right? Their motivation. You've got a property that's supposed to be a rental that's vacant, right? They're not getting any income on that property. Potentially, you'd be interested in selling that, right? So the strategy would be, okay, well, if you're in Philadelphia, you just go knock on that door, right? Now, in the list, we also have mailing address. So there's the property address, which is the house you're looking at, and there's the mailing address, which is the actual registered address of either the entity or the owner of that property. So you could either knock on a door, you could send them a piece of mail, or you could get their information, or you can call them on the phone, talk to them about their property. What I really like about the absentee owner approach, you guys, is that you can actually kill two birds with one stone. So you can call an absentee owner and say, hey, listen, I found that property on Morris Street. It looks like it's a great rental property. How did you guys do over the moratorium? Did you have, were you fully rented, or did you have vacancies? And they're going to be like, oh, whatever. And like, well, listen, we're finding properties in that area that would make good rentals for you as well, that, kind of match this similar property. Are you looking to buy deals? And no matter what they say, you can help them. Because if they say yes, now you've got a buyer to add onto your list. If they say no, then you say, oh, really? Well, have you thought about selling that property? So that call can go two different directions, regardless of whatever whatever they say, right? And in other scenarios, if a no is a no, then you abandon that lead. With this angle, they either want more deals from you or they don't, and they potentially want to sell. So pretty cool.
Absolutely.
So let's look for on-market deals. So looking for on-market deals is so simple, you guys. All you got to do is click one button. So we've got this investor activity. We know there's good data there to prove value. We know there's buyers there, all kinds of everything. Like, it's where all the stars align, is in these areas right here, because we've done the reverse RA strategy. So I'm going to zoom in a bit, and then this now is going to show us properties that are available that we can buy today that match our specific deal criteria, which is properties that are on market, that have the margins that we're looking for. And we're going to be able to basically just say, okay, well, here's a property that just came on the market recently. It's 6103 Gardenia Street, right? So here's the photos. I mean, obviously you can see this house is old, it's dated, you know, there's a basement, it's got wood paneling everywhere, lots of places where you could add value to this house. Well, the reason why we flag this property as a deal is because of all these little blue icons. Now, everything on the map here are comparable. So that's one of the cool things about Privy 2 is that our algorithm is automatically pulling comparables on every single property in the whole United States every second. So this is constantly being updated. So these are all the true comparables. In Philadelphia, we've got MLS data. So this is the same data that an agent or an appraiser would use. If you're doing BRRRR, right, which is a hybrid approach where you're buying it from the perspective of a fix and flipper, but you keep it as a rental, or if you're doing rentals, we've got all the rental data here. So all the black and the gray are the rental comps, okay? So all this data is in one place. Now, the subject property is right in here in the middle. It's 100,000 is the asking price. And all we got to do is just look at the comparables to see like what kind of deals can we do. So a fix and flip happened right down the street. It hasn't sold yet, but they bought it for 68 grand. They have it for sale for 238. Okay. One of the closest sold fix and flips just went for 225.
And before you move past that, that's the reason why they have that listed at 238. There's a they can substantiate their asking price based upon what's already in the area, what they have on their project, what they've added, what additions will justify their, adding, the additional costs. But that's how it's done, guys, from data. So before Benson passed that part, I want to make sure that you guys are clearly getting how this is such a powerful tool for you to leverage.
Agreed. Now, one of the houses in the neighborhood, this one right here on Topelhaken. That's a weird name. It sounds like it's like Norwegian or something like that.
Yeah.
But so here's that property. So we've got the before and after data on this. So this makes it really easy for you guys to be able to market that deal. So we wrote an offer in that house we just looked at that was 100 grand, and we got under a contract. This is one of the comps we're going to send to our buyers list. This is how we can help substantiate the value that we're going for. Now it looks like the values are between 200 and 235, which is a pretty good spread, pretty tight spread. But now we can see what they did, right? So again, this one was an on-market deal. So they bought it for 65 grand from the MLS. They sold it for 200,000, right? Again, you don't think you can do on-market deals? Here's another one. We looked at two, just the last two properties we brought up. So this one, they got it 32% of ARV, right? Another amazing deal that could be wholesaled.
Indeed.
And you can see exactly what they did to it. So over here is the final product. I mean, look at this thing. It's all molded, and I mean, it's rough, right? Like, but this is the kind of stuff that a wholesaler or somebody who's doing a lot of off-market stuff would bang their heads against the wall trying to find, and maybe never find it.
Never find it. Yeah.
And so here's the after. Right, so do you guys kind of see how this is lining up, right? Like it makes it super easy. And now we basically have a blueprint on what we need to do to our subject property to get to this value. And this is also what you can provide to your buyers list if you're doing wholesale. If you're doing the fix and flip yourself, all you do is you just hand these before and after pictures to your contractor, and you say, do this, right? There's not a lot of guesswork here. When you do this approach, you basically have a blueprint on exactly what you need to do to your properties to get to the same value. And of course, we got our buyer too. Go for it, man.
Before you pass that up, I saw it right below that picture where it said sold by Coldwell Banker, if I'm not mistaken. Someone in the chat had just asked, about the double dip strategy. And guys, yes, you can approach the realtor who's listing the property and also say, with your strategy, I would love for you to represent me on the selling of this same property as well. And yes, they will work for you and be willing to help you out in that process. So that is possible.
It definitely is, right? So these are two, you got two investor focused agents here too, right? Which is another thing that, problem that we're trying to solve as investors and
Mhm.
wholesalers is finding those investor focused agents. Well, we
Yep.
got two of them. We got Felix and we got Philip.
Yep.
Both of these people are involved in the real estate world, and they're going to be way better partners for you than somebody you meet at the RIA, right? Or somebody you just find online, right? So again, leveraging the data to build your team, build your buyers list, find the properties, learn those local markets, whether you're right in your backyard or whether you're doing it virtually.
Mhm.
And then here's that buyer again, Affinity Ventures. If you're a real estate agent and you're on the call, this is a potential client for you. What
Absolutely.
what better person to go target than just trying to circle people up through your own network? Go directly to Affinity Ventures because they're doing deals
Mhm.
and you know exactly what kind of deals they're looking for because you're looking at an example of it. You don't have to guess. This is called their buy box, right? It's their
Yep.
buying criteria. So all this data can make everything so much more simple. And this is just one property, guys. So that house, 100 grand, basically from this, it's between 50 and 40% of the ARV, between 40 and 50. Slam dunk deal, you guys. And he said dozens. There's hundreds of these
Exactly.
all
I was
across the
that's what I
US.
said. I said the minimum. I was trying to be generous, guys. It's hundreds.
Right. And it sounds like, oh, right, hundreds, right? And
Yep.
it sounds like it's, we're talking in platitudes and, we're using, God, there's a word I wanted to say, but, that we're just like puffing it up.
Yeah, over
You got,
exaggerating. Over
yeah,
exaggerating.
we're not exaggerating, guys. This is real data. This is not like, some guru, showing you their success stories and some guy holding a check and he's cheesing and he's like 250,000. You're like, oh man, well, I mean, what is that? Is that a real
Exactly.
deal? We're looking
Exactly.
at all these people that are doing deals. And this is an actual deal you can write an offer on today. And so, by the way, I'm going to share this with you. And you can share these properties with your real estate agent. You can share it with your client if you're an agent. You can share it with your hard money lender. And they don't have to be a Privy user and they can view these. So I'm going to put this in the chat and I'm going to challenge somebody here to write an offer on this. I would love if somebody here could go get a deal like this. So I'm going to put it right here in the chat. And I do see that there's questions piling up. So we will definitely get those answered for you guys.
Mhm.
But I want to put this here for everyone. This is how simple it can be, you guys. It isn't always that simple. We're not trying to say that you're going to be rich in a couple of days. This requires work just like anything else. Requires follow-up, requires discipline, everything else that is required of a business person to have success. But when you have the right tools and you've got the right team around you, and you can basically streamline and automate a lot of it, it makes it so much easier. And you'll have less restless nights. You'll have less
Mhm.
stress between you and your significant other and your family and your business. It really takes a lot of that off your shoulders, and it's putting it on a platform. It's like having a team of virtual assistants, like going through and just factoring all this stuff out. Before I move on and start to wrap stuff up, um, if you this isn't just identifying stuff via the search, you can tell it what you want to analyze. So if you had a property that was in Philadelphia or anywhere in the US, all you do is you just type the address right in here to the search bar. Our algorithm will pull comparables, build a comparative market analysis, show you all the investor activity in the area, show you the rental data, show you who owns the property, and then you could actually just export it, go ahead and then put it into a skip tracer. It's all right there for you guys. We put all of it in one place. Awesome. Yeah, Carrie, there will be. So I'm glad you at least got in here. So everybody that's here will get the replay. And also, I'm not sure, for those of you that showed up a little late, I'm also going to show you how you can get access to our brand new customer resource manager, a
Mhm.
relationship manager. So you can start to like track all this stuff as you're doing it. But let's go ahead and start to wrap up, and then we will get all your questions answered as well. But please put those questions in the chat. All right. Cool. So, I touched on this earlier, you guys, but this is a systematic approach to your business. It's not just kind of just throwing things at the wall and hoping they work, and not having an approach where you're basing it on data. You're doing things the old-fashioned way, and the old-fashioned way might work transactionally. I like how Sean put that earlier. Wholesaling, a lot of these businesses are transactional, and if you're having to do all that manually, it's really going to take a lot of it and you're going to burn out. But with something like this, it's really allowing you to focus on your money making activities, to focus on, not, burning yourself out in 3 months, like building a sustainable business, a business that you can replicate and put systems around and get predictable results. That's what this is all about. So Privy it's a software as a service, right? So it's a subscription. You can go right to our website right now and you can subscribe. It's only 97 bucks a month, you guys. Like, I just showed you a property that was like at 40% of the ARV that you could make tens of thousands of dollars on if you did the deal yourself. If you're going to wholesale it, I mean, Sean said like $10,000-$20,000 on some of those deals that we looked at tonight.
Absolutely.
So if you're looking for these for yourself, if you're a fix and flipper, or you're doing BRRRR, you want to turn these into rentals, this will work for you. If you're doing wholesale, obviously you need the data to be able to run your analysis, make sure your numbers are correct, giving you access to all of the investor activity data so you know what to present to your buyers list. You need to serve them the data that's going to most help them understand what your product or your service is that you're delivering to them. And you're just connecting the dots. The more value you can deliver to them, the more valuable you are, and the more likely you are to get that assignment fee that you're asking them to give you for that property. If you're brand new, we'll help you do your first deal. I've got many users have found their deals right on Privy. I just had someone I talked to earlier who was here in Denver named Leslie. She just found this amazing deal right off our system, got it under contract. It's like 800 and something thousand. There's comps in that same neighborhood that are at 1.4 million. 1.4. Now, I don't know what's going to happen with that, but I know she found it, locked it up, and she's getting ready to market it. But that's what can happen, you guys, if you take action. So this is just the example of some of those people. So Anthony, he's a wholesaler based out of Chicago, and he was only doing off-market stuff, and he was having some success. But he was basically getting capped, and he has a full-time job, and he was doing all this stuff off-market, and he was using Privy just to pull comps, right? That was his main use for it. But then I showed him how we could do on-market deals, and now he's really ramping up his business because now he's got an automated system that's finding these things for him automatically. This is Christian. He's actually an investor and an agent in Chicago. Now, this is not exaggeration or anything, you guys. Christian closed 50 deals that he found directly from our system. 50. And it's way over that now because this is a quote from him from before. It's absolutely doable. He is an agent. He's got the MLS. He has the ability to go in and do the things. Everybody thinks that the MLS is like this holy grail. It's not, you guys. He's like, he's been doing this for 25 years. And all he does is he just sets up his algorithm to go out and pluck these deals, pluck them right out of the MLS. And he basically is able to optimize his business. And the proof is in the pudding. I've got an interview from Christian I'm going to post. But here's a perfect example of somebody who you think has everything they need. He didn't. He had the ability to maybe simply do some deals, but when he implemented this systematic approach, it went like that. Here's a Johnny. He found his very first deal on Privy. He was having struggles. He wasn't getting anything meaningful done. He was making traction in his business. He was learning and getting some some results, but it wasn't closing. And so once we set him up on our search, his very first deal showed up in his inbox. He wrote an offer, got it under contract, closed it, and made money. So again, I told you it's 97 bucks a month, right? So that's $1,164, right? That's a good chunk of money. But when you look at some of the numbers that we've seen tonight, it's not at all. I mean, think about how much people invest in some of their businesses that they do on a regular basis. Some 6 figures sometimes. Subway or a cell phone store or a cleaning company or a dry cleaner or whatever it is, right? Large capital investment to get stuff done. I'm talking about $1,000, right? So I put together some bonuses for you. So I also have some discounts. So grandfather pricing. So this is going to get you in on the ground floor before our stuff really starts to shoot up. I'm going to get you this grandfather pricing so your price will never change as it starts to just go and ramp up. But it's also going to get access to all the data. And as we add more data sources, that's going to add into your accounts. That's part of what I call the master membership. And we're going to give you that for free. The next thing is education. right? So part of what we're showing you today is based off of what investors are already having success with, right? Looking at those closed deals. But you can also learn from them just by talking with people, right? Sean's here. He's given us massive amount of value by letting us learn from what he's been doing in his business. And there's others out there. So I actually went out and I interviewed a bunch of different people who are doing things from, doing their own fix and flips, who are buying apartment buildings. Elijah right here, he's a fire damage property expert, right? He found his niche. And so there's all kinds of really cool tips and tricks out there. And I had a lot of fun talking to these guys, interviewing them. So I wrap that up in a nice little bow for you. I'm giving you that as well. The next thing is the training, right? So I don't just give you a piece of software and then just disappear. I'm really hands-on with my group. I'm invested in making sure that you have success with the tool. So I'm going to give you a one-on-one training with myself. So I'm going to spend an hour with you. I'm going to make sure that your account is set up in a way to where it starts delivering you opportunities the very next day. So we're going to make sure that we set it up for you, save those searches, look at the data, figure out if the data aligns with your where you want to be. And if it doesn't, then we'll talk about some different ways that we can set it up for you where you can get the results that you want. And then, answer all your questions. Make sure you leave that meeting with everything you need to kind of move the business forward. It also gets you access to our live mastermind. So we've got a mastermind session twice per week. It's Monday nights and Thursday afternoons. And we do a lot of cool things there. People exchange deals. We talk about real estate investing strategies. We analyze deals live. So people bring their deals and we look at them and we just give each other advice and support. And then you can actually call and talk with me. I talked to somebody earlier, one of our guys, his name's Avery, and he found a deal and he wasn't really quite sure, how to go about marketing it. And so I spent like 10 minutes with him and, he was like, man, I want to go start marketing this thing. And he didn't have it under contract. I'm like, man, you do not want to put that thing out there. People will go around you. Just plan on it. So he's like, all right. He's got a little excited, but that's what we do, right? Is we're a community and we help each other. This piece here is if you want to do fix and flip, and you haven't learned that process yet, the time to learn that is not once you get a deal under contract. It's now. You want to really educate yourself on how to do this. Sean, do you have this book, by the way?
I was literally just looking at that. I was like, I don't think I have that book.
I need to get this to you because, man,
yes, sir.
It's a big project, right? Like all the moving pieces, and this thing's super valuable, you guys. So it takes you all the way through from like creating your scope of work all the way to the end on basically how to get that thing ready to sell and everything in the middle, working with contractors, how to put together your demo. It talks about all the different, systems of the house and how to work with them. It's really packed full of valuable info. And then the last two things I got for you guys is if you're wholesaling, a lot of people who are doing wholesale, they use, well, I don't have a buyer's list yet as an excuse to not go out there and start doing deals. Well, I'm going to take that excuse away from you, right? We're all about taking action here. So I'm going to give you a list of over 5,000 people nationwide with emails, phone numbers, and names. I showed you tonight how you can build on this list using our data and actually adding to it as more and more deals are being done in real time. But this is going to get you going, right? This is super valuable. That by itself, you guys, is probably worth more than I'm going to sell you the whole package for tonight, because it took me 8 years to build this. 8 years. So a lot of time and effort went into it, but I want you guys to have it. The last thing is the CRM. So I showed you our brand new CRM. We're going to roll it out in phases. So the first phase is going to be like the major core functions, like the actual being able to add your contacts to it, making sure all the data is there, putting them into funnels, pipelines, tracking your activity, setting up tasks. And then over time, we're going to add more and more features and functionality into it, like the ability to do calling right out of the system, tracking all your calls, SMS marketing, mailing campaigns. A lot of really cool stuff is coming down. And so we're going to be implementing that in phases. But what I'm going to do, is I'm going to give you this for free. There are other CRMs out there that do what we're going to be doing. They're charging you $100 a month plus, and you're going to get access to it. And by the way, we're going to charge for this. It's only because it's so brand new that I'm using as a bonus right now, because I think that, by the end of the year, we're going to have this you're going to have to pay for it, or at least new people are. So there's an opportunity here. So I'll get you one of those too, buddy.
Indeed.
Are you using a CRM right now? What do you use?
I use I've got my own custom built CRM.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So let me summarize this for you. So I'm gonna get you 1 year of Privy. I'm gonna get you the expert interviews, the support, the VIP onboarding, the one-on-one training, access to the mastermind, our phone number. You can actually call and talk to me. And that may or may not be available very much longer. We're getting ready to really grow, and we're going to bring on new staff. And not to say that I'm this great thing or anything, but I'm the expert in the software right now. And so you do have an opportunity to use me as a resource and me be part of your team, at least in the short term as we begin to grow. Grandfather pricing. We also have some standalone deal analysis calculators to help you calculate maximum allowable offer, construction costs, also an ARV estimate. And we're going to do this for $864, you guys. So we're taking off a good chunk. And it's like paying $72 a month. You do pay it upfront because it's for the year. But think about $72. What do you spend $72 on in a month, in a week? You probably spend that much just going to lunch during the week, right? Or Starbucks over the month. Or, that's bar tab for a lot of people. I've spent twice as much as that at the bar back in my early 20s, like just blowing money. This is an investment into your business, and you will get dividends upon dividends of return on investment if you use the tool the way we design it and the way I will teach you to use it. 30-day money back guarantee. And so for those of you that don't have that in your budget, man, figure it out. Like, there's credit cards and there's PayPal and there's all these ways. There's business partners. You can rearrange some stuff, and I don't say that lightly, because I know that a lot of people are in a bad situation right now because of, furloughs, and people are being laid off, and, the economy's not great right now. The stock market's doing well, but, unemployment's going up. There's the great, I forget what they're calling it, but everyone's quitting their jobs. I don't know where you're at financially. And if you can't swing it, I completely understand. And there's a reason why probably you're going into real estate, is because, you want to change things for yourself and for your family. You don't want to be stuck in that 9-to-5 job rut. You really want to change things. So don't let that stop you. You can still get in for $97 per month. Down the road, if you decide you want to upgrade to the annual, you can do that. Now, it won't be the same deal I'm giving you today, but there'll be something down the road that will be some sort of a special. And I'm still going to give you some bonuses too, right? So you're going to get access to the mastermind, where you're still going to get the support. And I'm also going to give you the deal analysis calculators. I'm sorry, 864. And I'm going to put that in the chat for you. And this is going to allow you to kind of get started, right? So you're going to get started, and we're going to get you going. And we're going to make sure you have everything that you need. So let me go ahead and do this. And Sean, let's start talking to the folks. Let's see, is there any questions here that we can start answering? I know they had a lot of stuff that was for you, man.
I echo Miriam, like she said. Benson is such a go-giver, guys. You can't go wrong when you've got someone who's so invested in their tool that they are selling and promoting, as Benson is, and he's very invested. So I'm telling you guys, you can't go wrong. And that's not, again, for me to try to push that to sell you guys. I'm just telling you that this is my testimonial. I'm a user. I've been a friend of Benson, like I said, for over a year. So this is testimonial.
Is there any questions about the deal itself? So that's going to be good for the next few days. So we're going to cut it off for good at the end of the month. So you got a few days to talk to your significant other or your business partner, kind of get your money together. I'm going to put also my contact information here. And if you need to reach out to me in the next couple of days to ask questions, do reach out. I'm going to be available. And I want to put all this information here in the chat for you. And you can reach out to me, but the links are all there. Again, you guys, there's no risk. It's a 30-day money back guarantee, right? There's absolutely no risk for the next 30 days. I mean, if you used it the way that I teach you to use it, you could probably close a deal before you're even locked into the software. Like, that's what you can literally do that. and just got to participate. Go through the onboarding videos, come to the trainings. Let me do the one-on-one training with you and help you set up your system so that it works the way it's supposed to. You'll figure it out eventually, but with me setting it up for you, I mean, the learning curve just goes away, right? And you're already getting stuff right to your inbox. Very cool. So there's my info. The links are there. I'm going to send out the replay tomorrow morning. But ask any questions. Don't make any rash decisions. Like, this is a big deal. You're investing in your business, and we're going to be here to support you every step of the way, no matter if you're brand new and you're doing your first deal, or you're seasoned and you're trying to scale your business and double the amount of activity and deals you have. We'll be there to grow with you. And we got a lot of really cool stuff coming down the pipe, you guys. So come on board. Let's work together. I'm excited. If you invest in the tool, I will invest in you. I will spend the time with you to make sure that you're getting the best return on investment for you buying the tool. Okay. So I appreciate you guys being here. Sean, thank you so much, man.
Yes,
I really appreciate you taking time. I know you're busy. You got a family, you got your own business and everything. And you guys, if you're looking for somebody who can hold your hand through the process on working through the wholesale process, or if you're looking for somebody who can help you with creative deal structuring, and Sean's growing his business, he's taking it to the next level, and I guarantee you he's going to incorporate that into his coaching. So go to SeanYoungCoaches.com. There's a lot of cool stuff on there. He's got free tools there. He's got a bunch of downloads with some scripts and some best practices and some free tools that you don't have to pay for. One of the other cool things he has on there, you guys, is he's got a virtual assistant service. So for those of you that are looking to really dig in and go on your business, it can be difficult to do if you're only spending a couple hours a week and weekends. So hiring a virtual assistant can really help you bridge that gap from going to where you have to make a bunch of money to be able to do this full time. There's a time period in between there where you can leverage help from the Philippines and get great help. I mean, there's super educated people with degrees over there that want to help you for $5 an hour.
Absolutely.
Right? Is that about how that works, Sean? Like, that service is amazing.
Benson is almost spot on, guys. I partner with the largest outsourcing company in the Philippines to create my company to facilitate folks' needs out here, because I was in your shoes. I needed a virtual assistant. I went through a ton of them that weren't very quality, and I decided to take care of that problem that our industry needed, which was providing quality virtual assistants that were trained, ready to use the tools that are in our industry. My head trainer VA has sat down with Benson to learn Privy. We coach our students on Privy, and guys, it's a great way to go. And real estate is the place to be. So the fact that you all are tuned in tonight, tap yourselves on the shoulder, commend yourselves, prepare yourselves for what's coming next year. And right now is the time to be preparing for next year. So you're all in the right spot.
Absolutely. And during the holidays, you guys, a lot of people take a break, right? People are taking a break. They're going to be spending time with their friends and family, and and that's all important too. But right, there's an opportunity right here to really jump in and get, there's gonna be less competition for deals.
Absolutely.
So you can, if you grind and you work extra hard in these next couple months before the year, the end of the year, everybody makes their New Year's resolution, and then everyone's going to be really focused and disciplined for 2 weeks, and then they're going to fall off. There's an opportunity here, right? So taking advantage of that. We're going to be here to help you. Sean's available if you need coaching. He is the guy. There's only one person, honestly, you guys, that I would feel comfortable referring you to. I know a lot of other people in the business who do coaching and different things. Sean is he's somebody you can trust. He is just a guy that you can trust. He does what he says he's going to do, and he just delivers. So call him if you want some help.
Thanks for that, Benson. You
got it. All right, you guys. I hope everybody has a good night. Thanks for being here. Call me with any questions. Keep an eye out for that replay tomorrow. And I'm excited to do business with you guys. I hope everybody has a great night.
Yes. Have a great night, everybody. Go out there and get it done. Take action now, guys. Take action now.